Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new around here, my name is Divyanka and I'm a doctor of pharmacy here in the US. On this channel, I'm here to help both you and I live our best and most productive life. Alright, so in today's video, I'm going to go over all the different functional areas a PharmD can pursue in their career within the pharmaceutical industry. No matter what route you get into industry after graduating with your PharmD, whether it's through a fellowship or through an entry-level position, the first step is to decide what functional area you want to enter. Usually when someone mentions that they're interested in pursuing a career in the pharmaceutical industry, the first thing I say is, do you know exactly what functional area you want to go into? Although you can always change this and people do jump within different functional areas in their career, it is important to know why you want to go into one specific one and hopefully gather as many experiences during pharmacy school that would make sense for someone entering that functional area. Even when you apply to jobs and fellowships, applying to jobs within the different functional areas can really mean a totally different career. So again, it's very important to nail down exactly what it is you want to do. And the first step is to understand what each functional area actually does so that you can assess what piques your interest the most. Now, there's a lot of functional areas and within them they have many different sub-functional areas. So this is generally going to be a vague overview of all the different functional areas. I'll mention some details for every functional area, but I actually will be making a deeper dive type video for each functional area in the near future. So this is a good overview video, and then from this, if you find that one or two of the different functional areas pique your interest, then you can go ahead and watch the deeper dive videos of those specific functional areas. The first functional area we're going to talk about is medical affairs. If you've done even a little bit of research into the pharmaceutical industry functional areas, you are probably aware of medical affairs. It is probably one of the largest functional areas within pharmaceutical companies, and it's definitely the most popular in terms of how many students apply to medical affairs fellowships, and it's definitely the functional area that has the most amount of fellowships available. Now, the overall goal of medical affairs is to disseminate scientific information in a fair and balanced, non-biased way to improve overall patient care. But what does that really mean when we dive into it? Medical affairs generally deals with products of that company that are in their post-marketing phase. And again, the goal is to make sure that all the scientific information that's packed in the different documents, the investigator's brochure, the protocols, the drug information packet, etc., is being communicated to doctors, KOLs, patients, etc. in the most fair and balanced way. So for someone wanting to enter medical affairs, the key skills here would of course be one, to actually be able to communicate scientific information in the most efficient way and fair and balanced way possible. And moreover, you need to be able to do this in both a written and oral manner. Deciphering through data and presenting that data in the most relevant way for your audience is the most important skill in this functional area. You have to be able to solve the simplest to the most complex problems looking through literature reviews and data. And within medical affairs, the goal is always to make your key stakeholders and your KOLs the most happy. Now, why medical affairs is so popular to begin with is because the main skill within medical affairs is definitely medical writing, and that's a skill that PharmDs can be very well versed in as long as they're trained to do so. PharmDs come with adequate therapeutic knowledge, and that is very beneficial once you put that together with key medical writing skills. There are also many different subgroups within medical affairs. One company can have so many different fellowships within just their medical affairs department because there are so many subgroups. I'm not going to go deeply into each subgroup, I'm just going to mention them, and if you guys want to, of course, do more research on them, and I will be talking more about them in the more focused videos about each functional area. The most common subgroups within medical affairs are publications, medical communications, medical information, medical science liaisons, medical directors, medical operations, medical training, and competitive intelligence. Now, these subgroups definitely matter because the work within each subgroup is different, and different positions and fellowships can span either one or all of these different subgroups, again, very dependent on the company. So it's not enough to say, I want to go into medical affairs. There's so much you can do within medical affairs that you really need to assess each of the different subgroups, possibly have experience in a couple different ones to really understand what you would want to do. Now, the second most well-known and popular functional area within the pharmaceutical industry is regulatory affairs. In my opinion, regulatory affairs is kind of easier to understand as a department in comparison to medical affairs, because the goal within regulatory affairs is just to provide strategy and guidance for different global and commercial programs within the company. And of course, they do this by leading main communications between the company itself and regulatory agencies, depending on where you are. In the US, that would be the FDA. In Europe, that would be the EMA, etc. Now, regulatory affairs definitely spans both pre-marketing and post-marketing, depending on where that communication is needed between the company and the regulatory agency. Now, the different subgroups within regulatory are clinical strategy, advertising and promotion, labeling, chemistry, manufacturing and control, also known as CMC, and medical writing. The next functional area within pharmaceutical companies is pharmacovigilance, or also known as drug safety. Now, the main goal of this functional area is really to evaluate all the different safety measures for a drug or a product of that company to really enable healthcare professionals and patients to make the most informed decision about that drug. Now, overlooking the safety profile of the drug definitely spans from beginning to end. So from the initial drug development process through approval, through post-marketing, you are consistently monitoring the safety profile of that product. Usually in the pre-marketing phase, it's really evaluating risk management, and after, within the post-marketing phase, you're mainly conducting safety surveillance. This is a great department in which PharmDs can help, because we are taught to look at the side effects of any product, and we're very well versed in all of the aspects of a safety profile. So again, this is a very nice transition into the industry for someone who has a PharmD. The next functional area is clinical development. The main goal of this department is to determine the efficacy and safety of any drug product coming from that company, and specifically for any treatments meant for human use. This is your house of clinical trials. So if you work within clinical development, you are really working from the beginning phase 1 studies through phase 2, phase 3, possibly phase 4 studies, and looking and seeing those studies through from beginning, study startup, to the completion of the study. So if you're working here, you can really be involved in protocols, investigator brochures, anything to do with the clinical trial itself, any amendments that may come for, let's just say, the protocol, etc. You're providing input from the studies to be put into and used for reports, statistical tools, and data analysis. If you really want to be a part of the strategy and part of the clinical trial and all of the documents that go into that, like I mentioned, the protocol, then this is definitely the functional area for that, because this is where you oversee all of the clinical trials, again, from beginning to end. The next functional area is health economics and outcomes research, also known as HEOR. Now, this is a pretty popular functional area for PharmDs within the pharmaceutical industry, and there's a good amount of fellowships out there, but I think actually getting a grasp on exactly what HEOR is definitely important, because it's very different from the other functional areas that we've been going over. The goal here is really to design health economic models based on past economic data to overall improve patient care as the healthcare industry evolves. So this department is basically finding the most efficient and best way to support the commercialization of the new products coming from that company. You're using both economic and clinical data of a drug to really assess its value. And to really assess a drug's value, it's important to look at factors like the current healthcare climate and patient needs within that specific therapeutic area. The next functional area is commercial. Here, the goal is really to focus on the marketing and brand development of both the drug product and the company. The commercial functional area really does still span over the drug's whole development process, from study startup all the way to the end in pre and post marketing, because throughout that process, you are determining how best to brand the drug product that is coming from that company. As the drug is being refined, you are refining the message that you are sending through the branding of the drug product. And moreover, you're finding ways to increase brand awareness, and then of course actually execute on that brand strategy. I don't think enough people explore commercial and marketing within the pharmaceutical industry, and I personally do find it very interesting, because again, decisions made within that department definitely need to come from someone who has a good sound background in science and the different therapeutic areas, and I think that someone who has gone to pharmacy school is very well prepared to understand the medical background, but also also bring their own flavor to the commercialization and brand strategy of a drug product. Especially for someone who's a little more business driven or has a knack for marketing, this is kind of the perfect blend for both worlds. The next functional area is market access. Now, market access oftentimes gets confused with HEOR, which I mentioned before, but the main difference is within market access, your goal is to ensure that a patient can actually access the drug quickly, continuously, and conveniently. And moreover, you need to make sure that the drug is marketed at a reasonable price and is also in line with the drug's actual effectiveness. In comparison to HEOR, where you're really trying to understand market trends and then make suggestions based on that data analysis, here you're more concerned with the pricing of the product and the success of a drug in terms of actually getting it to the patient. Now, the last major functional area within a pharmaceutical company is quality assurance. Here, the goal is really to be the best caretaker of the quality system within the pharmaceutical company. It is your job to ensure that everything that is happening within the company is being done well in the most efficient manner and how it is supposed to be done. So quality assurance is really where things like standard operating procedures or SOPs are created to really lay out how things and processes are supposed to happen within the company. They're the ones making sure that everything is happening as per the regulations. They're assessing and identifying any gaps within operating procedures that could be done in a more efficient way and providing recommendations for those gaps that they identify. They make sure that every part of the procedure from initial drug development to both pre and post marketing is being done not only in the best way but how it's supposed to be done. So that was a quick overview of all the different functional areas within a pharmaceutical company. Again, there were many details about every single functional area, and there's just so much to talk about for each one. So if any functional area piqued your interest, definitely look out for the deeper dive videos on each functional area, and also go ahead and do your external research. There's a good amount of information out there for every functional area, and you can really try to grasp exactly what you can do as a PharmD within those different functional areas. Just because medical affairs is the most popular doesn't mean you have to go down that path. And I think PharmDs can really assimilate into any one of the different functional areas for different purposes because of their therapeutic background. I hope this video was helpful for you guys in terms of just laying out all the different functional areas. Honestly, when I read through the different functional areas online, they all started to merge together and sound the same. And you aren't really going to get a good picture of exactly what they do until you're actually in a position to either work with the different functional areas, work within a functional area, and actually gain that hands-on experience. I just started my career and I feel like I have so much to learn even within just understanding what the different functional areas truly contribute to the big picture. So definitely don't feel like you have to grasp every single detail, but definitely have a good overview, and from there you can try to gain experiences within different ones and just experiment and go with whatever you like best that way. I think this video is longer than I anticipated, so I'm going to stop this video here, but thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I hope this was helpful for anyone who needed this. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below or reach out to me via email. As always, that is it for this one, and you guys will see me in the next video.